And we're live, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining, and everybody for being here today on my antenna challenge. I've got a couple of friends here with me today, and we're going to talk about cheap ass antennas. So recently, a couple weeks ago, I was bugging Ape about starting an antenna challenge inside of the Discord. I don't have any experience with radio clubs in the way that you go to a club and you can do club activities. And since this is my radio club, I thought it was time that we had a club activity, and here we are. I had a couple of people submit their antenna ideas, and the entire time I've been sweating bullets and stressed out about it. I actually had to completely redesign and rethink up of my antenna because somebody, I'm not naming names, decided to also make their own handmade ladder line. So I wasn't going to be the second place ladder line guy in the competition. So I came up with a pretty great antenna, and I used no less than 75 ohm coax to accomplish my mission. Let's see here.
See, that's where you wanted to be anyway. You wanted to be at the 75 ohm coax, man. You didn't want to be at ladder line.
I was going to do the ladder line, but I had to change my antenna, and I said, you know what? There was a point in time when I was a young ham, and all I had was 75 ohm coax. So I've got a pretty awesome treat set aside for you guys about my antenna. I do want to talk about everybody else's antenna first. I am the host of this challenge. I am not going to be taking first place, even though I do own the trophy. Here it is. This is Ziggy's 75 ohm trophy. Weeks ago, I was bugging Ape about starting an antenna. Let's see. I don't know how I did that.
That was my feedback, probably.
Okay. Cool. All that said and out of the way, gentlemen, anybody volunteer to take it away?
Okay. Let's see what we can do here. So, do you want me to bring up that Discord page?
Yeah. Yeah. Andy, go ahead. Let me embiggen you here.
We'll try here. Hold on a second. I don't guarantee nothing yet. Okay. All right. Are we seeing that?
I got it.
Or am I just seeing?
Hold on, buddy. I got to find you. Whoa. There you go. All yours. I know how to do solos now.
All right. Are we seeing the Discord screen here? You gotta look back here. Nope.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Hey there. Glad to be here.
All right. Cool. Hey, Ziggy, can you see the Discord screen that I have up now?
Let me I do not. I'm gonna try though. Stop that screen. There's Andy's screen. Hey, Andy. All right. Let me change you back. I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry, guys. Where'd it go?
It was an antenna building competition, not a streaming competition.
Oh yeah, I definitely placed first here. Sure. So there's Paul. All right, there's Andy. There we go. Full screen layout to Andy. Come on, Andy.
Okay, here we go. That's it. Let's see here. This is my antenna, and what I decided to do was 10 meter half square. I decided that just because it was only minimal wire that you'd have to buy. Obviously, it was a challenge, so That was part of the challenge. So what I did was just went to Menards and found a 50-foot roll of speaker wire for $9.99 and bought that and said, okay, let's bring it home, make an antenna. So went ahead and made the half square here, put it at 20 feet. Oh my gosh, I'm clicking too many things. Can't get those pictures to come up, but let's see here. There we go. There we go. Can we see any of those pictures? Is that picture up there?
Yeah, you might want to scroll up and zoom into it a little bit if you could.
Okay.
You got does the scroll wheel work on that thing? There it is.
Okay. Good.
I see masts.
Oh my gosh, that went away. Okay. I apologize for being
You're fine.
so not good at this.
Take your time. We're on my channel.
I like it. All right, so there's the two masts, and you can see the this is the last time the sun was out here where I live too. So you can see the antenna wire glistening in all its glory there. And I cut it all for 10 meters, and had the plan for that. And then the next thing you know, the ladder line said, "No, we're not going to do 10 meters. We're going to do 15 and 12." But there you can see the ladder line. The reason I went with ladder line on this is just because I wanted to make it unique. You know, I mean, a 10-meter half square, you know, fairly easy antenna to build, to get up, get going. But hey, let's throw some ladder line on it and see what happens. But yeah, there's had the two poles here, and then I had some supports down at the bottom to help keep these wires relatively straight. It was really windy the past few days there. There's another picture of the ladder line. I tried to, you know, that's about as close to 90 degrees as I get that to come off. I don't even know if it makes a difference. I know it probably makes a difference with coax, but that was part of the experiment and part of the fun of it. Just figuring out how you wanted to do it. And it does have a lean to the left a little bit, but it didn't really hurt the performance on it at all. This is I ran FT8 50 watts. Now I did two different sessions. This is kind of the combination of those two sessions.
Oh,
and I was happy with it. Needless to say, we got really into Europe there really well, and then later on we got into Japan, ZLVK. It was awesome. It was better than I expected that it was going to work. But I couldn't get 10 meters. I think I needed to add some more ladder line, an 8th wavelength is what I wanted to do, but then the weather came in and time ran out on me, but never did get it to work on 10 meters, but it worked on 15, just on FT8 here. So that's what that was. These are some of the signal reports I was getting off FT8. This was the first go around. I did two different sessions, 1 hour each, and they both had pretty similar results. The first hour, I got more Europe, and then it was later in the day, and then I got more of the Japan and out west there. But it was definitely a fun antenna to play with. And there's my Japan contact. I had to get that in there. It's got the Roger Roger on it too, so it was a contact. There's the little spool of speaker wire that I bought. And what else we got here? Oh, here's my fantastic SWR sweep. Now, you're not going to be able to see this here, but at 10 meters, when I cut that bad boy for, it was 28 to 1 at the very edge of the band, and 15 meters, we had 38.3 to 1. But the manual tuner that I've been using here for a long time brought it in on 15, and I think those FT8, that it really worked well on FT8. But and we're back at the beginning on that. So that was kind of my experience with the 10-meter half square for less than $10. And awesome. That was less than $10. Then of course I put in, you know, a $5 super chat for some bribery on one of the streams, and then I did build I did 3D print a little topper for up here on this pole over here. I had to put a little topper so that wire could come up and over, and that was 37 cents. So whatever that mass out to be, all I know is less than 20.
I gotcha. Now, how much time did you spend stressing about this project?
I spent it was day and night that I was stressing about it.
Look at Paul over there. He's like, finally, we got to the real question.
Yes. Oh, I was like, oh my God. Okay. You get everything going and you get your plan going. Then it's like, okay, got to do it now. Okay. So let's get out there and do it. And what poles am I going to use? Okay. I got these 2 poles. Let's put this up. Let's get the ladder line built. Let's, and then hook it up. And is this going to work? Yeah. Yeah. And there was probably a lot of, the solar, being where we are in the solar cycle, I'm sure that helped a lot too with it, but it was cool and it was fun. And I'd build another one, and I wanted to take it down, put coax on it, see if I could phase it. But I had a lot of ideas, but this is what I came up with.
Awesome, man. This isn't something that's going to stay up, right?
No.
No.
It's not going to stay up right now. No, it's the poles are out there right now, and it's one of the poles actually fell in the ice storm a little bit, so it just kind of dropped down a little bit. So it's at an angle.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at it. I'm like, I wonder what that does. But that messes up everything with the phasing of the 2 lower legs of the element, I'm sure. So.
Oh, absolutely. I was looking at my contraption this morning, and I was like looking at it in disgust because I was up till 4 a.m. last night running around in a dark field, trimming and tuning. And so I'm not using a balun, right? So I have to depend on off-center feeding this thing, to get my match.
Whoa.
And so I'm not using a balun, right? And then on top of that, not only am I having to adjust my radiating and my parasitic leg, but I'm also having to adjust the other elements. It's a 80-40 is what I have. So every time you adjust one, the other one gets weird. So you're just constantly going back and forth to these 2. I think I got it pretty close, but I looked at my antenna in disgust today because I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't see what I was doing last night. All I could see was the glow of a rig expert down in the dirt, right? And my
that's the light. That's why they put a light on those things, right?
Yeah. It needs a little light on the bottom, like a bow thing.
I'd say that was the most frustrating part. I wanted to get 10 in. I really wanted to get that ladder line, that extra piece in there to see if it'd bring it in. Not saying that it would have, but that was the thing that frustrated me the most. Just that, because we had an ice storm here the past couple of days, and I'm like, I can't be bothered to go out there right now.
Right.
It's too icy, man.
All righty. Let's see. What about Paul or Wes? Which one of you want to go?
I can go. It doesn't make me a difference.
Let's go, Wes. Come on.
Alrighty, and let me pull up the present tab and see about sharing my screen. Yeah. Let's see if my Zoom college days helped out. My audio sounds fine and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So got some Excel action going on here. Can everybody see it fine, or do I need to embiggen it?
Let me get you where you need to be first here. Full screen layout. There you go, buddy. All right.
We good to go?
Good to go. You're live.
All righty. So I built what I'm calling the Iguana Tactical Tripole 6.9. There's an antenna manufacturer that really likes green and likes lizards. So and likes to add tactical and numbers to theirs. So that's what I did. What it is it's an elevated vertical, and I don't have a picture of it here. It's in the video that's in the Discord, and I can send you a link to that, Ziggy, if you want to put it somewhere in the description or in the comments, something where people can find it. But what it is it's basically one radiating element vertical with 2 horizontal reflector elements. That it's essentially just a quarter wave 20-meter vertical. I wanted to do a 33-foot one, but I ended up doing 17 feet vertical only because I tried the 33 feet so I could get 40 in there. And what ended up happening was I had the color terminals backwards on my BNC binding post, which you can see right here that we got. I had it backwards, so my radiating element was on the ground and one of my reflectors was up. So what ended up happening was I just scrapped that, went with the 17 because I couldn't get it to work, and figures out that's what it is. I'm a proud appliance operator. I don't have I don't build antennas. It's not my cup of tea. When I sit down at the radio, I want it to work. I want it to work the first time. But when you're building stuff, I say don't get it right. Just get it on the air, especially where we are on the solar cycle. A coat hanger will radiate if you've got a good enough tuner. But we'll go ahead and start with kind of the breakdown of it. So I built a 20-meter vertical. I bought this spool of wire from Tractor Supply. You can see it's these sturdy twists. You can find it in the gardening section for $2.99. I thought that was pretty good. This is kind of a trick that I learned early on looking for cheap wire. Now, all this is basically one long bread tie. I paid with 4 $1 bills and came out with this spool. It has rained since I put the antenna up, and believe it or not, it's oxidizing. So not the best long-term solution, but you can see the wire after tax cost me $3.28, and the splitters off of Amazon you can get for $7.43 if you have Prime. It does come with 2 of them, so when you break these costs down for the B&C splitter, you're looking at $3.40 and about 0.02, so really a penny or 2 pennies for every foot. So just stupid cheap. And we can go over here, and I kind of broke the cost down. For each element, you're looking at 31 cents. And then when you add the $3.40 for one binding post, you come to a whopping grand total of $4.32. So that leaves you a remaining budget of $15.68 with 114 feet of wire left. Now
you
I
can make
did end
3
up
more
cutting.
than things.
That's right. See what I wanted to do, but I ended up running out of time, was I wanted to take the other binding post and build a 2-meter setup. So now for the same amount, you can build a pretty nice 2-meter antenna, 2-meter 440, even get into some Yagi territory with this much wire left over and have a pretty killer 2-meter station because you're not running a whole lot of power. So I did tune it with the SWR meter on my ICOM 7100, and I tuned it to the FT8 frequency. And on 20 meters with it elevated, I ended up being in somewhere around a 1.1 to 1 SWR, pretty close since what the radio liked. But when it was on the ground and it wasn't elevated, now it's elevated about 6 feet now, at least at the binding post and the radio. The other two kind of come down at a almost like an inverted V, but they're just radials, and they're not on the ground. They're actually on the top rung of a barbed wire fence. So it's making it happen. But when it's on the ground, I noticed the SWR, I couldn't get it below 2 to 1. And I think this has something to do with something in the near field playing around with it. But what I did find interesting, I don't think this is how it's supposed to work, but it did. On 15 meters and 17 meters, it was 3 to 1. And with a tuner, you can tune that out no problem. But I wanted to try to get it resonant, so we kind of stayed at the 20-meter band. And then for 10 meters with it elevated, 7.1 to 1, I thought was pretty good from where for 10 meters. But you can tune that down no problem. Or if you're brave and you have a smart enough radio, you can run that. Now, I did run some whisper tests and things like that. I'll jump over to it, but it's nothing really impressive. But for whisper, the furthest station that picked me up was 9,936 miles away. That was a VK station. Pretty interested. We'll jump over here. So you can see this VK station. I ran this at 10 watts the entire time, all the FT8 contacts. I ended up making about 75 FT8 contacts, and I'm running it right now as we speak. So if you see that KI5 WES on FT8, that's me. I'm pushing a little bit more power, about 25 watts. I'm going to see if I can melt that B&C connector before the end of the night. But you can see my furthest station is this VK7JJ. I ran it a few times, so there is some duplicates in there. So we got a little bit of DX, and if we jump, we can sort this to the shortest one, shortest to smallest, and the closest with it elevated was about 434 miles. So not super far into foreland. I'm in Louisiana, so I'll take that, and just basic whisper test, nothing super fancy. We can scroll over here to the pictures. Of course, I don't have a picture of it actually deployed because you can never take a good picture of an antenna. So but that's what it looks like when you buy it from Tractor Supply. Here's the Tractor Supply receipt I got about 75 cents back. The BNC binding post. Now, I'm sure these have gone up just a touch. I did buy this in 2021, but based on COVID pricings and inflation, it actually probably would be somewhere around there. That's kind of what the spool looks like. It comes with this nifty little cutter, so you don't have to tear your wire cutters up or your pocket knife, depending on how rough you are on your knife. But that's the Iguana Tactical Tripole 6.9 in a nutshell. Really fun. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this, probably 30 minutes total, and was on the air rocking and rolling, but that's all I got.
That's exactly what I was looking for, Wes. I was looking for more ingenuity than product, and I think you nailed that one. That's pretty great. So let me clarify: is this a quarter wave on 20?
Yes, it's a quarter wave on 20. I wanted to do a half wave on 20 and a quarter wave on 40, so I could get that day-night kind of antenna for people. But like I said, I didn't realize I had the radios backwards on there, and I messed around with that too much. I said I can't deal with this. What I ended up doing was scrapping that, figuring out what the problem was, and I was like, well, heck, I'll just run this 17-foot up quarter wave on 20. Rocked it. It did okay on 15. It did okay on 17. I made contacts on both. 10 meters, it did pretty good, but 20 meters is where it really rocked it. 30 and 40 meters, even with a tuner, I could not get that thing to get out. PSK reporter would show me like a station in Arkansas and a station in Alabama heard me, and that was about it. So I'll take what I can get for $4.
What I love is that we have basically a monoband antenna, and you are force feeding that thing any band that you're trying to rock. That's pretty great. So are you using your internal tuner to make this happen?
No. So like I said, I'm running a 7100, and I have an let me see, an MFJ.
Here it comes.
939.
There it is.
I don't know where Ape is, but it's an auto tuner. I change bands too much. If the contacts aren't there on 40, I'm jumping to 80. I usually run an 80-meter sky loop, and it's resident on most bands. If not, it's pretty close. So this tuner has light work, but it had its job cut out for it with this little antenna. But like I said, everything was ran at 10 watts. I didn't kind of give us a baseline as a gentleman's competition, so to say.
You make me feel multi-band spoiled. Because whatever band I want to be on there right now, and I don't want to think about it.
That's exactly right. I ran this 20-meter antenna probably till 9:30 one night, 10 watts chugging away.
Nice.
It might be 50 calls, and then I'd get one little contact, and it would be way down in the noise. But for $4, if you're a ham on a budget or a cheaper ham than most hams, you can get a pretty good antenna up in the air, pretty lightweight as well.
Wes, you clearly understood the assignment. Perfect job. Paul, you ready?
Sure.
All right. Let me see if I can't embiggen you there.
Alrighty. Is there a magic option to put up a Google Doc, or is that easy for you to do?
You have to share your screen. Otherwise, I'm just going to put, are you using OBS or anything?
All right. I'm not currently.
Okay. So there's a share screen option. And then once you do that, I'll be able to throw that up.
Alrighty.
Hey, there's a screen. Tear it up.
Cool. All right. So what I decided to do, I stumbled across what I believe is called the NorCal doublet, which is a sort of shortened doublet, I think by most people's standards, 22-foot elements. And I said, all right, I've never messed with a doublet, but I've always wanted to mess with a doublet. So why don't I try that? But the problem I was facing was I don't actually have any ladder line. And so I said, all right, how am I going to do this? I don't have any ladder line. I could make it. And I started to think about like 3D printing things. But due to a separate interest, I had recently been looking into slot antennas. So I had a bunch of copper foil tape lying around. And I said to myself, well, can you just make ladder line out of copper tape? And the answer is yes, you can. So I decided to say, all right, well, what if I just took the 28 feet of ladder line and took 2 pieces of 28-foot long 1/4-inch copper tape and like duct tape it together at a 1/2-inch spacing to make it into ladder line. And it seems to work great. I haven't really spent the time to like fully characterize what that transmission line looks like. I don't happen to know off the top of my head what impedance that actually gets me, but good enough to make a doublet out of it. So that's what I did. I see so far the BNC binding post is winning the MVP award for parts to use for this build. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and use that and put it in the middle, cut 2 22-foot arms on it, and then figured out how to get the copper tape to actually go into a BNC post so I could stick that into or just a regular connector on the end so I could stick that into the post. And then hung it up in my living room because San Francisco's been having wacky, wacky weather. Great to see all the rain, but it's not that great for putting up antennas outside. So through the long dimension of my house, I just put this up between like the kitchen and the front door. I put it up over the door jamb and shut it. So I've got it strung across the full length of the house. And that's about 15 feet-ish, I think. Yeah. So with all that, and I got some instructions here. So the actual center point here basically looks like this. I decided to put a little strain relief across the top there because I didn't realize the banana plugs would be like the wire would be pulling at 90 degrees off the banana plugs. I was like, that's bad. So put a little piece of paracord across there with some glue back heat shrink to give it some slack so there's no actual tension on the banana plugs, which honestly, if nothing else, that's just going to be my new go-to way to make dipoles because I actually think that worked really well. And for the cost of a binding post, yeah, that was way easier than trying to like go find a cutting board I could cut up and then like make myself the T thing. I think a lot of the doublet kits all use like the same standard sort of T-shaped thing with a few holes in it. And this seems to work. So not sure how well that'd do, outside for a winter, but seems totally fine to me for what I want to do with it. And then hung it up and didn't get a chance to put it outside, which was frustrating, but we had our first tornado warning. So wasn't going to go try to put this up in the backyard. And then saw what it could do. And honestly, I was shocked. I was really shocked at what 10 watts into this would do, especially on 40, because 22-foot elements is a hair shy of a 30-meter dipole, if I math that correctly. So the idea that 40 would be, totally usable in Maine from San Francisco was just not something I was expecting, but that's what it did. And I realized that the ATU 100M Pro that I'm using as the external tuner here was mostly okay, but wasn't going to be able to pull in 17 and 12. But there's no real reason that like a better, more capable tuner couldn't have. So I think this comes up being at least possible 80 through 10. I'm not sure how great the 80 is going to be. I didn't have a good day with it with 80 open. Just when I checked to actually see what it would do, but you can see here. So this is 30, 15, and 15 later in the evening when Japan was open. So it isn't actually just directional across the US. It was actually going both ways. And 10. And so, honestly, for an antenna that I can leave up in the middle of a hurricane warning or tornado warning, I'm really happy with it. That was not something I was expecting. Normally, I would have thought, oh yeah, anytime I put up a dipole like indoors, sure, it kind of works on FT8 because FT8 will do that, but I wasn't really expecting it to give me, 40 coverage across the states. But yeah, that's what I did. And some cost math here. The actual kicker here is if you wanted to fully insulate the ladder line, the 28 feet of duct tape would actually be the most costly part of it, or at least I was using Gorilla Tape stuff, so that's actually a
Stop
little more
right-
expensive.
Stop right there, Paul. You
Yeah.
you skipped over something. I was reading it, and I was hoping you were going to dive into it, but
All right.
I
What
saw
do you
you
wanna-
peruse right past it. Scroll up there. I need this 2 a.m. thoughts out of you.
Yeah. Okay. So there's something weird. I'll scroll up to the diagram to show it to you, because there's something weird here about the directionality. So I can't rotate my house, and the long axis I had to put this up is basically pointed southwest northeast, which is exactly 90 degrees off from what I want it to be, but I can't rotate the house, so I had to deal with it. And I was fully expecting to have like Mexico lit up and like Alaska, and then just not get the rest of the states. And that's not what happened at all. And I don't really understand why. The 2 a.m. thought was, if you look at the wiring diagram, this is actually also accurate in terms of like it's in the plane, the same plane. So it means the element is like 6 feet over the ladder line that's running off to the side. And what I don't know is that making this directional in exactly the direction that I was not expecting?
The feed line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So can you enlighten me here on why is it that this seemed like it was basically pointing to the east or northeast, where I would have loved to have it, but that's like exactly off the end of the dipole.
Yeah, you're this is great, right? So when I talk about dipoles, I always talk about my radiating element and my parasitic element, and we all know what we're talking about. Anybody that wants to get pedantic with me, you can private message me. I always like to have my radiating element pointed away from me as far as I can, because my comeback on my coax and my non-radiating element, I like to have them kind of in the same plane together. And so whenever I think about all my antennas in the field, they're all pointing away from me. That's how I know that my radiating element is the furthest one away from me, and that it's not sitting on top of an artificial ground that I'm making from my feed line running back to the shack. That's just something I do. But what I did notice is that whenever I used to play around in the field and I used to set up on this side of the field and that side of the field, the tuning and everything about my antenna would change slightly from whichever direction, perpendicular or what have you, from the antenna. So I thought that maybe that there was just magic spots of my backyard that I should, play antenna at. I found out, as a young ham, what I was doing is I was effectively changing my antenna in ways that I, couldn't comprehend, just by the direction that the feed line comes off of the antenna. You can really manipulate it if you want to by having your feed line come, instead of straight down, by coming off at an angle. All these things count, and especially on a doublet. Holy cow, especially on a doublet, because you're talking about half your antenna is your feed line.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I got. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I mean, that was the observation that I made was, hey, it is directly over the feed line, and I kind of now want to go into like Easy NEC and start playing around with if I can actually model that, because then what this antenna is really doing is it's basically like a C-shaped thing and like a Z-shaped thing, and they're next to each other. So yeah, that was the sort of cool discovery for me, was that I wasn't just blasting the signal at Mexico, which is where I was honestly expecting to see it.
That's great. That's really great. And dipoles, when we look at them, when I was a young hand, I thought that they were like straight dead nulls, and they just went off on either directions from the broadside. And turns out that's pretty far from the truth. They just want to go everywhere. They want to go up, down, all around. I've got a personal saying: RF gonna RF. So, that those PSK reports look pretty great, man. Now, is this is this an antenna that the XYL is gonna let you leave up, or?
I haven't asked that question yet.
Is it still in the living room?
It is still in the living room, yes. But in fairness, it's exactly the height. If I like reach up, it's at the height right there. So it's I'm not going to run into it, but yeah, not sure I'm going to get away with leaving that there.
I need to see how far you can can get away with that. I have a backup little portable air conditioner that I got for nothing. It was practically brand new. And here in Florida, if you're a real Floridian, you keep extra air conditioners in the barn and like on the ready. I tried to hide this air conditioner in the corner of the kitchen by putting like the dog food and stuff all around it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those stand up little roll around units. I woke up this morning and it was getting rained on in the backyard. So my personal best on that was about 2 weeks. I got away with that one. So if you could beat 2 weeks, you've got me.
All right.
I don't think the antenna is going to make it 2 weeks though. Paul, what you got? What you working on over there? Uh-oh. We got to hear him first. I don't hear you, Paul. Nobody hears you. K5 VOP, Paul. No audio. Anybody else hear him? Nothing, huh? I can wait a minute. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming here today. Ape, thanks for showing up. Let's see. Jeff over here says some of Ziggy's best antenna designs start with hold my beer and watch this. That's pretty true, actually.
You need to build one out of some beer cans. Let somebody hold it.
Some beer can. I don't mind loading up some beer cans now, but not with RF. And KO4PDI decided to show up. As hams, we tinker a lot, and Ziggy tinkers more than most. Oh, that's pretty great. I love that guy. What a great guy he is. Let's see.
So I bumped the power up to 50 watts, FT8. We're going to see if we can't melt this connector. I don't know what the interior of them are, if it's actually decent or just cheap, but we're about to melt the plastic.
There we go.
There he is. I don't think you're going to get that thing hot, buddy. There's no potential at that connector. You know what I mean? It's just in the way. It's not opposing anything.
It's in Louisiana. It's going to get hot regardless.
I'll give you that one. Mike, into MAK. Where are you, buddy? I gave you all the links, all the heads ups. I thought for sure you'd be in here first. Let's see. Well,
let me. So I can't enter the contest legitimately because I didn't have anything operate. Ziggy, I think you're the only one. Well, no, I did do a little short of it, so people may know what it is. But this little 1 to 9 balance.
Let me get you.
Let's see if it'll focus.
Up here. Come back just a little bit.
There we go. Is. So after I wound that toroid, the way Ape tells me how to wind. No, I'm just kidding. That thing's so small.
Is that a binocular toroid? It looks like.
Yes. So I think you saw this, right?
Yeah.
Ziggy? And then I made it short. So these things are 1 to 9 balance, and let's see. Here, let me share it real quick. Right there, off of AliExpress. Sometimes I go on there and just look for fun things to buy because they're so cheap and just play with them. So they're about $1.50 a piece. I got 3 of them, and so they're 1 to 9s. And so, long wire end fed, right? But the problem is, and the reason why I can't test any of I've got all these different wires cut is because if you see on there, can you guys see right there? Is that zoomed in enough?
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to add your screen.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
If you look in, let's see if it'll zoom in right there. See that? Max 28 dB. So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that like half a watt or something like that? I think it's half a watt. Maybe Ape or someone can correct me. I have nothing that does that. I have 5 watts minimum, so I don't even know how I'm going to test it.
630 milliwatts.
So is that
0.6 watts?
0.6 watts. Okay, so just over half. Okay. I have the 705, but I think its lowest is 1 watt, right? For those who know, I haven't used it much yet.
Let it eat.
So what I'm probably going to end up doing is, well, if the 705 does 1, I'll use the 705. But I might just try to see what 5 watts will do to it, and we'll record it and see what happens. But anyway, yeah, it's just, let me, here, I can get rid of that. So it's just that teeny little thing, $1.50, and then some wire. I got a bunch of that orange wire the car guys sell. They didn't have it. I got it off Amazon or whatever. So that's dirt cheap. So, but what I'm going to do is basically, I'll probably start with 30 feet or 33 feet and start end fed, or I'll go in the reverse. I'll start with like 73 feet, see how it does, then 60 feet and then 30 feet. See this, I want to see the smallest antenna I can make, end fed or long wire I can make with this. Of course, with the end fed, I think I'm going to do I guess the other side I can run as the counterpoise, right?
Well,
so
we don't know
see.
if that's we don't know if it's a balun or an unun.
Well, it says balun on the thing. It says 1 to 9 balun, 6 through 160 HF RTL SDR 160 through 6, and it doesn't even show the power. I had to read on the board the power, but it does say 1 to 9 balun on the board. So
Well, if it
I'm
doesn't-
assuming end fed, right? I can make with this, or random wire.
I don't know, because it's not an unun, it's a balun.
But I think that won't that still balance it out if I do an end fed with a counterpoise, or no? Am I thinking that wrong? It has to be a 1-to-1.
It's got to be an unun configuration, not a balun.
For end fed. Got it.
Yeah, it's got to be an unun.
Well, I'm going to try it anyway.
Yeah, do it anyway. A balun is you're gonna have 2 hopefully equally radiating elements coming off of that thing.
Oh, that's true. And with mine, it would be the coax is unbalanced as well as this. So you're right. It would probably have to be the unun.
So,
well, we're going to see what it does. So maybe for the next one, I'll have something figured out for this. And between this and the wire, I'm hoping to have it under $5. We'll see.
I guarantee you, though, some traces could probably be cut on that PCB, and
Yeah.
I guarantee you some little jumper wires could be added. I
bet.
Sounds to me like maybe just 2 traces need to be cut and rearranged, and you can turn that into an unun real simply.
There's literally only 6 soldered connections on the board. So yeah, I wouldn't know what to do. You'd have to direct me in that way, but
yeah.
But I thought it was crazy how tiny that little toroid is. It's so little. Handles 0.6 watts. Anyway, so next time I'm going to figure something out with this, and I'm going to give the car antennas a run for their money.
Now that's 0.6 watts into a perfectly matched load.
Well, we're gonna
exactly what you're not going to be doing.
We're going to see what it does. And like I said, I think the lowest I can go is 1 watt. Sure. I think if the 705 does it. Otherwise, it's going to be 5 watts with my 891 and a tuner. I'll have a tuner, but we'll see.
Put a fan on it.
Yeah, I'll just put a big fan in front of it. I'll make sure I do it in the morning when it's 40 degrees.
One of those like cans of compressed air with the little the straw on it. You got to sit there and just slowly.
I have my son on a radio. Press it now. Press it now. SWR is going crazy. But yeah, anyway. So that was just fun.
Jeff over here's got the same idea. He said, just cut a trace and change it.
Yeah, but you guys are going to have to tell me how to do that. Trace from what to what at some point.
Well, we're going to have to get out the high power magnifying.
I'll get some close-up pictures of it. I'll put it on the Discord.
Absolutely. And I would love to get some more info about that manufacturer to see what other kinds of little pocket devices they're making. Maybe we're doing this all wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe there's companies out there that make whatever we want and throw it on a PCB for us.
Well, what I'd like to do is just get a larger, I've got a bunch of toroids. I've got one that'll probably handle 5 to 10 watts and maybe just make my own and do it as an unun, like you're saying, and see what I can do with it. But we'll see. Anyway, that's my fun little toy I've been playing with.
Nice. Very nice. Well, you guys want to see what the hell has been the bane of my existence the past week or so?
Math
has been.
You said you did this entirely with the power of math.
Yes, go ahead.
Does it have to do with your RC car, or is it something else?
Oh no, something else.
Oh.
He's talking about that 17-foot whip I put on top of my wife's little blue car with the mag mount. It makes it look like a toy RC car. It changes the whole perspective of how you look at the car, right? It just kind of like instantly makes the car smaller when you have an antenna that's almost 20 feet tall coming out the top of it. Let's go to the Watt Trash Challenge folder. What do I have here? You know what? Let's do a live demo. I like sharing pictures, but I really love doing live demos the most. So let's bring up some simulator. Let's share a screen. Hey, look, there's somebody I know. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
All right. I was just about to get talking. Are you ready to show us something?
I'll need to
You need a minute?
couple photos, yeah. But I'll be ready in a few minutes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wait on Mike before I get too crazy. Unless you guys want to see what the hell this crazy math is that I'm doing. I've got a whole little lab set up and everything.
I mean, honestly, I'm here for the math. I really wanted to see how in the world
You're here for the math? I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Let's see what I can do here. You guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Let's I gotta find my mouse. Hold on, it's on one of these monitors. There we go. All right. Is my screen embiggened? Looks like it.
Yes, sir. It's embiggened.
You guys got some big old awfulness. Okay, so here we got SimNEC, and I want to thank you to the big old smoking ape for turning me on to this software, because I have been absolutely addicted to it ever since. You can do anything your heart little desires, and let me tell you what, you can do it so fast. So, what do we got here? I am the 75 ohm ham. I am using 75 ohm coax. You can see that right here. I've got that dialed in. This is just a marker frequency. Don't pay any attention to that. My antenna works anywhere from 3 megahertz. Well, come on. 3 megahertz, and it does 40. So we're going to go to 8 megahertz. Go ahead and run that. So I've got my two bands. You see my bands, guys? 30, 40, and 80. Wait a minute. What band is that? 60. I'm sorry. And it's showing that my cable length is 48 feet. Now watch this, guys. Let me increase the length of my coax. Right about, too far. Right about to here is kind of what I'm after. So 75. So I got about 100. Let's go ahead and make that 160 feet. And what I've done, if you can see right here, is I'm kind of using the upper edges of where this coax is end presenting at 75 ohms again. So see these tops right here where the SWR is like just slightly above 2. At the end of this coax stub that's 160 feet long, and I've got the velocity factor in here, which is 87%, and that's real important. It's showing me that with this 160 foot stub, I can get this kind of split difference in between the two. I'm not really, I'm not going to get real pedantic, and plus this whole scaling here is kind of trippy to look at. It doesn't quite represent what I'm after here. It's pretty exponential. So what I've done is I've figured out that I can get this harmonic at 160. I can also get this harmonic if I wanted to go shorter. I can get it at 78 feet where I'm high on both of those bands of interest. And if you wanted to be a weird oddball and try to do it in one harmonic here, you could. That's a 36-foot stub of 75 ohm coax. But my field is way far away. Everybody kind of knows that by now. And I kind of want to be in my shack. I'm getting old. I don't want to be out in the field all day. We could do something like this, but that's 271 feet. So that's the next harmonic. So here we are. And so what I've normally done typically in the past is this right here. See, I'm at 120 feet. What does that do for us? that gives us a 50 ohm match right here at the beginning of 80 meters. And this gives us another 50 ohm match right here, pretty much right where you want to be on 40 meters. And mind you, this is a 121 foot piece of 75 ohm coax. So if you didn't have coax, proper, but you're gonna, and you know what frequencies that you're after, you can easily tune this stuff, guys. This is not rocket science. This is real simple stuff. This is how I got it to be the 75 ohm ham, is that I accidentally was using pieces of coax that were working for me in favorable ways, in ways like just like this, but I hadn't measured them out. I was just very close to what I needed to be at. So it was a happy coincidence, and I thought everybody was out of their mind for not using television coax on their TV antennas, because I always got a perfect match on all my antennas. I don't know what everybody else's big hoopla was about. So that was my introduction in ham radio. It was a wonderful Bob Ross accident. So back to my antenna, 160 feet. I'm using these upper edges here, and I'm going to try to match within there. So that being said, and please forgive me for the vertical, wrong monitor. So since I have presented my all right, so what's the impedance of a dipole? 72 ohms, right? Is that what the book says?
I think so. That sounds about
All right. So I have presented my 72 ohm dipole with a 75 ohm impedance ended matched piece of coax, and look how far I was able to slam down the SWR. Now everybody's like, well, swears don't make it. Okay, that's fine. Swears don't make it, but boy, that sure does look great. Let's look at the Smith redo. This upper loop, I believe, is my my 40 meter, so it's a little inductive, and this bottom one, this capacitive loop, is my 80 meter. And here's my perfection point, guys. Right here, just over here. What a beautifully matched antenna. And I love this heart that it makes right here. This is great. So this is my dual band 80 and 40. Let's see if I got a picture of it here. Oh, here's what it did on 40 meters, because it's 80 is not really a DX kind of thing. So it got out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
How many watts was that?
All of them. So, and then here's the actual confirms. So it did real well over here. Obviously, it went down. I got some VK. I was real excited. I got some China and some. There's somebody in China that I got. I don't know why it's not showing up, but somebody in China. And just down here, and then I waited till, obviously you see this, what I'm doing here with the gray line. This was some real early in the morning trickery do. Trying to get over there, but I really liked it. And just like most things, it performed a little bit better than I ever expected it to. Let me see if I can't find you guys a picture of this thing. That's going to be in my. Let's add you to the stage. What you got, Mike?
All right, so let's see here. Give me one more second. I'm going to actually upload a couple screenshots with the PSK reporter things. So buy me a minute worth of time here.
I can do this. Not a problem. I really did. I liked this. Does anybody know where the hell these are? You guys ever seen these islands before?
The Azores?
Yeah,
Azores.
I've never. I thought there was something wrong. I looked out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
I was like, oh crap, there's people out here.
Yeah, I think that they start with a Charlie. CU is, I think, what the calls
Yeah,
start with out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's CU. I got him this morning.
CU3HY.
When I first worked the Azores for POTA, I had to look it up. I'm like, what? Where is this?
Let's see. There's the model. I showed you the smithery do and all that. I guess the next thing I could show you guys is.
So Ziggy, how is that terminated? Your antenna then? What was it? Just I'm not very smart, so I'm just trying to figure it out here. Was that just a piece of coax then, just laying there, or what?
I will show you. I'm bringing it up.
I can't wait, man.
I know. I'm working on it. Let's see.
Just kidding.
Ta-da! This is what you wanted to see, right? Everybody see
Yeah.
it? Good. So this is a little sprinkler fitting, and I was kind of a little peeved about the price of them, but it was exactly what I wanted because I wanted it to look a little fancy. I wanted something to take the strain to off the coax. So this is just a T connector. I popped 2 holes in it. My radiating elements are bent where I calculated them needing to be bent, and just folded over a screw, and then I just rammed a screw in there, and then I brought the elements out either side, and I threw some sleeves on both elements, and I had to walk them down. That's a galvanized steel wire, and my iron's hot enough to where I can get that hot enough and actually solder to it. So those are soldered connections. And then this hole that you see in the center that I've drilled, I took my hot glue gun and I completely blasted this thing with hot glue to waterproof it. And it came out pretty much everywhere and all over my hands and all over my pants. Don't play with hot glue in the dirt, guys. It's not ever meant to be done. Let's see. So that's it, man. That's some 75 ohm coax. Big John sent me this roll. This is called trunk or distribution line coax. So it's actually got a steel jacket. You can stick a magnet to this stuff, and it will hold. It will hold its place. Oh, hey, wow! I've got Chuck.
How heavy is that?
Oh, dude, it's so heavy. It's so heavy.
What was the total cost?
My total cost was just under $10. So just under $10. Let's see what else I got for you. I got some people sitting backstage. Yeah, no, it's a fan dipole, guys. I made a fan dipole. I seriously did. And then like I said, your dipole is expecting around a 70 or so ohm impedance, and so I thought to myself, I was like, well, I can give it that. I can give it what it wants at the other end. And then so that's how I got this beautiful 1.0 and 1.1 SWRs. So the radio was super happy. The antenna was a hell of a banger. I'd
be interested in taking that, putting it up at about 25 feet, and then so it's a fan. It's 2 separate elements, right, on each side. Is that what I saw?
Yes.
I'd love to take the 81 direction and the 40, a 90-degree direction, like the military NVIS antenna. I'd love to give it a try.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Kick me out and bring in whoever you need that's in the background.
I gotcha.
Because I don't see anybody there, so only you see them, I think. But you can move me to the background.
Oh, I see what I've done here. I need to go here. Hey, I'm back. All right. I got Chuck, and then I've got Mike. I don't know how Mike is sharing two screens at the same time. But I'm gonna do it. Paul, K5VOP, man, thank you so much for showing up. Awesome, man. Hold on, you're muted, Paul. Your sign off's not working.
Sorry. Thanks for inviting me.
One more time.
I'll have that little thing ready by next time. I want to see how many watts I can put in it, but we'll have something figured out.
I am patiently waiting. I can't wait.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Iggy.
Thanks, Paul. See you later.
Yeah.
All right. We've got this gentleman. Hey, Chuck.
What's up?
Hey, buddy. I guess we're
I'm
going
late.
to... Yeah, it's okay. That's not a problem. Chuck, I got a question. If I remove myself, I obviously can't talk. I only get 6 slots to work. Only
if you need to
6
boot
slots
me,
work with.
Ziggy, you can boot me. That's fine.
Let me see.
Yeah, you can back me out too, and I can just stay in the chat.
Oh
They
no,
can
we're
still
good.
hear.
I get 6 people and I get a slide, so I'm good. No, we're all good. We're all hanging out. Is this what you needed there, Mike?
Yeah.
All
Yeah. I just combined a bunch of photos into a PDF that I could upload quick. So I got the antenna right here, but that's the start of it. I built a folded skeleton sleeve dipole for 6 meters and 2 meters. And so, and the rationale too, why I did this for 6 and 2 is I'm in Western New York and we have a really active VHF group in Western New York and then Southern Ontario, Canada. So we have regular weekly nets on 2 meter, 6 meter single sideband. And I thought, oh, it'd be fun to, build, an antenna that I could use for both 6 and 2 in the lower portion of the band for weak signal. And I can't remember where I first heard of the skeleton sleeve dipole. I know
Yeah,
it's
I've never
been
heard of
mentioned.
it before.
It's been mentioned in a couple of the ARRL books and stuff, and so it's built out of 450 ohm ladder line, and I had like 25 feet. I bought it at Hamfest a year or two ago. I just been sitting on it, and I kind of when I heard about the contest, I'm like, oh, this will be perfect. Let me do this, and whatnot. So in the back, you'll see this maple cream thing. It was just an empty container I had laying around, and the dimensions of it worked out perfect for the choke. I had some cheap RG58 I bought on Amazon a while ago that I just like to cut in half, like 18-foot lengths that you typically see cheap. And I'll cut them in half, and I'll use that if I'm making like a roll-up J-pole or some stuff like that. So I had some of that laying around, and I did a couple quick searches, and for 6 meters, it was suggested about 7 or so turns around, I think it was 68 millimeters or 2 3/4 inches for a good choke for 6 meters. So that's what I did. And that maple cream container turned out to be like the perfect size. I was able to get 7 turns nicely on there. It was the right diameter. And so I figured I'd start off with the choke and the build and get that done. I put a couple holes in there with some zip ties. Then the measurements, and I don't have the table, but there's a table that lists a whole bunch of different band combinations for this antenna, and it's a dual band one, and you can make it for any combination. And what's nice is they don't need to be harmonically related. So you could do 17 and 15 meters if you wanted. It's not like how with a lot of multi-band antennas you sometimes get limited to harmonics if you want it to be a resonant antenna like an NVED half wave where you're going to get 40, 20, 15, and 10. And I'm kind of scrolling through while I'm talking. But the bottom element is going to be the driven element, and that's going to be essentially the folded dipole. And you saw me a couple of the snips or photos with the ends soldered together. So that's the element for 6 meters in this antenna, the longer, the lower band. The higher band is going to be a parasitic element. And that's the 2 meter portion. Let's see if I get some better photos. So at the end of it, and I finished this build, I was able as the last one to check in for the Monday night net. I finished it just in time. I took a couple quick shots of it on the 705, and you can see it's definitely cut for the lower portion of the band, which is where I want it. I want to be right around 144 or so. On 6 meters, it was a little bit better when I got it set up the second time. I had this set up pretty quick and dirty and low when I checked into the net because I wanted to make sure I could get on and get some good signal reports. But it's below 1.5 in the lower portion of 6 meters where I would want it. And there's
Look at this
it
thing. Look at this photo. Hold on.
Yeah. So I
This
have
is wonderful,
That's
dude.
cool.
I have a bunch of 3/4 inch PVC that a friend got from work that they were discarding. And so I have this, like set up for a lot of 2 and 6 meter dipoles. And I was able to throw it up there real quick. And get checked into the net. There's a little close up. I'm just using some paracord and whatnot to tie it on there. Like I said, it was really quick and dirty. The SWR, when I got it out to the park yesterday, was a lot better on 6, and I think it was just a better setup. But I was able to get checked into the net and got some good signal reports from the local folks. On 2 meters, I hopped over to 6 meters after and tested it there. And there's a look at the finished product all rolled up. And then I got out for POTA yesterday, and I got absolutely no love on 2 and 6 meters, as you might imagine. No tropo and no opening on 6.
Oh man.
But I did a local ham did have me in ham alert, and he worked me on 6 and 2 meters, FT8 and single sideband. So I was continued to get out. Let's see here if I can. Let's see if I can switch to the PSK. So let me remove this from there, and I'm going to pop this in.
I got you.
Okay, you got it. All right. I took a couple of these real quick. So this was on 2 meters, and I was surprised that I was getting all the way out to Connecticut on 2 meter FT8, but I was getting picked up out there, and then the other slide will show 6 meters. So the other ones around the Rochester region are just getting picked up by local stations. But this was on 6, so I was getting west out towards Buffalo, north into Canada, then east towards Syracuse, and then south down towards PA. So for 10 watts, and then on 2 and 6 meters without ideal band conditions, like I'm not surprised. That's kind of where I would expect to be getting without any openings with tropo or sporadic E. So no surprises. I wasn't expecting to get any pileups on 6 meter FT8 the other day, but I got it out. I tried. It was fun. You don't know unless you try some of these things. So I'll maybe give it a shot in the January VHF contest. I'll try checking into the nets when time permits on 2 and 6 and trying it there. But it was something just real quick and simple. Like I don't have good antenna and soldering skills, but it's a cool antenna, and the fact that you can make it for $1 a foot, and you can come up with some different combinations. If you were a tech, you could make one for 10 and 6 meters and put that up, and have fun in the lower portion of those bands for FT8 if you wanted to. That'd probably be less than $20 in ladder line and whatnot. But if you want to do more elaborate setups, if you wanted something for 20 and 40, and you want to spend that money, you can do it for 20 and 40, no tuner required. And one of the things that I meant to mention earlier is the radiation pattern is going to be pretty consistent with that of a dipole, according to what I've read with this. And so that's nice, because when you use an NFEDS and you're getting those, second, third bands on the harmonics, you're starting to get lobes and whatnot. So at least for what I'm doing with VHF and whatnot, it's nice to have a little bit more of a predictable radiation pattern. It's not going to be quite omnidirectional, but it'll work pretty well, and I won't have to worry about rotating it as much. So there you go.
Man, when I saw
Nice,
that
Mike.
you were when I saw that you were going for 2 and 6 meters on an antenna, I was speechless. I was like, I thought we all were. Thought we were all doing HF here, and Mike comes out of the out of the graveyard with 2 and 6, and then that 6 meter coverage was impressive, man. I've never made a 6 meter contact, never, not once. Just I check it all the time.
Play around in when there's
You should.
the contest, January, June, and September. You'll get some more activity, and
Yeah.
they set and I know because I just wrote an article for my club about the upcoming January VHF contest, and they had one of the biggest openings on 6 meters on a contest weekend last year in January, which you usually see 6 open more in the summer, but you never know. And there's always going to be activity those weekends if you try it during the contest. So give it a shot.
Right on.
Ziggy, you got an old lawn chair?
Do I?
Like the
Wait.
kind with the webbing on them, the old school ones?
Let's see with the yeah. I got some webbing
Make it-
chairs.
Make a halo or a squallow. I don't know. They call them different things, but it's basically it ends up being horizontal and it's omnidirectional.
I've
Put that
seen
up, and I
those.
bet you my buddy Gary can get you.
Oh yeah, is he pretty close?
No,
No.
but he talks into Texas and Florida a lot.
Oh, okay. I will.
No, and he's talked to a bunch of guys on those little. I can help you with it because they're pretty easy to make.
I will definitely be putting a
For
6-meter
6,
antenna.
he talks on
yeah.
6 every day, pretty much. But they have a group of people.
Yeah.
That 6 is open more than people think. I mean, it's usable more than people think. It's just people aren't on there unless it's open. They don't get on there.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing. What are you working on over there, Chuck? I saw you some.
Me?
Yeah, it looks like some kind of plasma blaster gun or something. What is that thing?
I did like Mike. I went 70. Let me take the coax off of it. And for some reason, I read that the due date was 1/15. So I built this today. So, well, I had a bunch of it done. So it's another
Oh yeah.
cubicle quad.
Oh, holy cow.
The antenna that opens the band and closes the band. But I don't know about 2 meter. This is 70 centimeter.
Okay.
And I only did 2. I had enough stuff because I have this much wire left. I have 2 more pieces of wire that I could do 2 more elements.
All right.
I would have to buy another one of the arms. I didn't buy the arms because I had them, but I went and priced them. I'm at like 10 to $13 for everything.
Okay, so is that still following the $20?
I'm under $20 easy.
Okay. All right.
I priced these out off of one of the. It tells you how much it cost to make it when you put it in. And certain, I had to do a different Orca slicer tells you what it costs, and I don't know. That may not be what somebody might charge you for it, but
Sure.
I'm trying to find the camera here. This is a piece of just a piece of wood, and it's right at half an inch. I was a little small on my my openings. I was shooting for
you
half
got
inch, but
some tape there as a filler.
I literally was tuning this as Mike was talking.
Oh yeah. How'd it come out?
Nothing like waiting until the last minute.
How'd it come out?
Well, he goes. I go. I'm editing a video. He goes, oh, for today for the contest. I'm like, is that today? So I literally went out and I had the stuff printed. I printed the stuff like the day after he decided to do the contest. And I had prices here someplace, but I went on a camping trip, so I wasn't really home for a while. But it's at 1.5 at 441, which is a repeater, and at 431, which is what it was supposedly cut for. Basically the same thing. And what I was doing was I was adjusting the driven back and forth, and I moved it closer than what the guy said. Mm-hmm. Now the antenna that I got the cuts for were, I think he did 4 or 5 elements. And there's enough room on here to do at least 2 more probably. But easily I can go bigger. It's not, I mean, and it's basically I wish I'd tested it, but what I was going to do is just took it to one of my handy talkies, hit a repeater here close that I probably can't. Well, Mount Diablo for me, I can hit it with a decent antenna, but not usually the rubber ducky on an antenna on a HT, but I'm sure I could hit it with this.
Chuck, every time I see you with a project, there's this thought in the back of my mind that says Chuck is doing this because there's a goal that he is trying to check off.
I did one of these before, and I wasn't. I wasn't totally happy. I did it for 2 meters. I have a bunch of people asking me all the time for the STLs, and I'm terrible about organizing STLs and stuff. And I did find them, but I didn't like it because, well, let me talk about what it is. These little orange pieces are driveway markers. They're a couple bucks from. Actually, you know what I found out is my Home Depot actually carries the 6-footers now, so I may go back and buy a couple of those because those are big enough for other things. The 4-footers aren't quite in there. They usually come in 4 feet. And if you live in the snow, Mike probably can go to his store and get them all the time because he probably has the 6-footers because we don't have snow around here. I'm surprised they even carry them.
Yeah, I haven't seen 6-footers, but I got a bunch of 4s in the
Well, Home
garage.
Depot carries you can buy 6-footers from them, and for some reason I've never seen them at our store either. And they happened to have them the other day. I probably should have bought them the other day. So it's what I did before is I made the hubs fit one of these driveway markers. Well, what it did, it wanted to spin all the time. And it really wasn't small enough to, like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's holes here for sets, so I can set screw it.
Let me embiggen you, Chuck. Show us what you're talking about.
See the little hole right there? I can make a set screw, and it's pretty easy in the square. And the square keeps everything where it's supposed to be. So, oops. These are a little short. I cut them too short. But it works. But so like I forget which way it is. One this would be vertical or horizontal, and then if you turn it sideways, it's the other.
Oh,
I forget which is which right now.
It's not a 30-degree phase; it's a full 45.
Yeah, it's where it's fed.
Uh-huh.
And I designed these little spreader things up. It took me about half an hour to get them all ready. There's a few things I would do differently now. My holes are a little bit loose, but these things are never. I mean, I might find one that it's really tight ends, so it's better to be tight. But I think I would design them to where they would go through instead of end.
Yeah,
and then you could adjust them better. And that's easy to do. I just have to make the hole go all the way through.
Well,
but I don't know what gain should be somewhere around 6, 5.5, something like that.
Yeah, you should have quite a few.
Maybe more than that on 70
there. Absolutely.
But those are. I mean, if you can get one of those up for HF and stuff, I'd love to have like a 4-element one for. I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, for sats. I didn't read the end of it. If you can get like for 20 meter, if you had a 4-element for 20, the thing would just. I've got 3 right now on a Yagi, but they're not full size, so it's not the best 3, but they work well. But they're a little more hard to put up and build than it's a full wave basically versus a Yagi, which is a half wave, right? So
right. I do.
So they work really good if you can get them up. I used to, when I was into CB before Ham, I had a guy that was going to build me one, but I chickened out on it, putting it up. So if I was building one for HF, I'd probably build the center hubs out of some kind of metal, something that would hold up better.
So
I didn't quite finish in time.
I'm sorry. No.
I didn't finish in time.
So this is my goal, and this is going to be news to everybody here. The goal for this is that the winner of this challenge, which is going to be something that we all decide, and obviously I can't win because I'm the host. I am the winner. The next person that's the person that wins this challenge not only gets my little trophy, which is actually it's a magnet. It's not a toroid. So this can go on your desk and it can hold your screws and stuff. The plan is that you get this, you hold on to it for a month or so. You launch your own antenna challenge. You add to this and mail it to the next person. Because we're a radio club, we need to be doing stuff like this. I had a great time. I didn't even expect 2 people to want to do this. So the fact that I've got you guys that actually wanted to do this with me, I'm thrilled because this is what radio is for me. Being cheap and building a lot of antennas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put like our call signs on there. Is going to be like the Stanley Cup. It's going to get
Yeah.
passed around, and we'll just use
Yeah.
our silver Sharpie and we'll write our name.
The wife wanted, right? I was thinking about putting like a base on it and like doing some routing stuff. And I said, no, I need to leave room for people to add to it. I don't need to make it proper right off the gate. So I will be mailing it to whoever we collectively decide has stolen our hearts the most. I do want to give an honorable mention here. Let's go to this screen over there. And let's embiggen me. All right. So John, WV3L, he came up with this. He was supposed to be here, but I guess he's not here. But this is what he came up with. He has 3D printed a case. He's got a BNC connector. This is very clearly a 9-to-1, and he's got a hold of himself 2 slinkies. And he even went through the effort and like made the cover all swanky and fancy.
Fancy.
All right. I am totally digging the painter's tape inside of this transformer, by the way. So he's made this, and then he's got some more pictures for us. He's got it deployed, and it looks like he's got it deployed. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this. Let's move this over here. Looks like he's got it deployed in kind of an extremely off-center fed kind of way here. I'm sure this thing is just a bucket of worms with the coils bouncing around and changing their inductive values and everything. What else does he got here? He's got some receipts. So there's this 10 meter, did pretty good. Seems to be about -15 on average. What do we got here? This is his 15 meters. 15 meters is rocking a lot better, it looks like, than the other one. A lot higher numbers there on 15. We've got 12 meters. 12 meters, he was rocking it too. 12 meters, very efficient. Doing great. And John, if you can show up, we're still here waiting for you, buddy. I just didn't want to leave you out. I don't know if there's anybody else that I need to mention in here. I think that's it. Okay. All right. I'll get off my soapbox here, guys. All right.
So I'm curious because that design basically means that you could change the height on that. You just change the height of that support, and that's going to change that antenna pretty significantly, right?
It's gonna. I mean, that slinky is one crazy inductor, and you know, you want to throw that randomness on top of another random wire. I'm all about it. We should feed it with some 75 while we're at it. So that's I'm sure that antenna can do a lot of things. Getting it to do any one thing in particular, though, I'm sure is quite the handful. Who's this guy? Vid5, cool club contest idea. Well, thanks, Vid. I appreciate that. All right. So here's the next step to this. I guess that's going to be all of our submissions for this. What I would like for all of the people that are in this contest, myself included, and anybody that's not part of the contest, I would love for you to do this as well in the Toads Discord server underneath this challenge. If you could kindly just make a list of all the antennas that you saw today that people have submitted, and make up your own judging numbering system, however you want to do it. It's kind of a 0 to 100 kind of thing for a final score, and it can be any kind of metrics that you want. But basically, I'm looking for a 0 to 100 kind of score on what you feel for everybody's antenna submissions. And then we'll have to average all those together, and then it should be pretty clear after that. But once we figure out who stole the contest, this thing's getting mailed out, and I am off the hook, and it's going to be on to the next person to start the next antenna challenge. That's my goal. Anybody else have anything they want to share?
Very
I have
cool.
to go back and
Yeah,
look.
thanks for starting it up. It was fun. It was a good time, and yeah, I look forward to the next one. Whoever comes up with it, I'm looking forward to it.
Right on.
Right on, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Enjoyed it all. I'm back on out here. I got suppers ready, so I'm
I
back
know
on
she's
out
been
here.
hollering at you there for a minute. I seen it.
That's right. She brought me something earlier.
She sure did.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. Y'all have a great one.
Hey, thanks for
73.
being a part of it, Wes. 75s, my friend.
I look
Thanks,
forward
Wes.
to it. 69s.
All right.
I have to go back and watch. I basically I went and I was in the car when you guys started, I think. So I have to go back. All I saw was Mike's. I like Mike's. That was cool. And I saw the end of Paul's, I guess. I guess he made an infed halfway for a quarter watt or something.
No, Paul's playing around with some prefab 9-to-1 balance that he found on AliExpress, but they're only capable of handling like half a watt.
Oh, half a watt.
And then on top of that, that's half a watt at a matched load, and there will not be a matched load on the end of this thing. So it could go tick.
So a little bit on I didn't know that for, I don't know if you guys can see this, but so I drew this up. That's basically, I drew up the size of what the I guess it was the reflector was supposed to be, and that's how I got. I mean, there's math ways of doing it, but I had to put my pieces on there because they weren't exactly the right length. So that's how I was figuring out my lengths. I came out with 4 3/4 on the reflector, and ended up being 4 1/4. So it was pretty close. Better longer than short. So
Yeah.
So that was my way of, and then I totally got the other one's too short. I've got about enough to make maybe 4 more off of one of those 4-footers, but I didn't get them long enough. I took off. I only made them, so it was 4 1/4, I think, and I made those 4, and they were too short. And it was like an inch difference in wire. So I don't know where that came up. And I thought I'd be too long on mine because I added it's hard to show you guys, but on the, there's an extra piece of wire for the BNC right here.
Yeah.
So I figured that would make it longer. And it was pretty close as it was. So maybe it didn't make it longer, or I was short to start with. I don't know.
You found your chart.
Yeah. So I did upload it real quick. Chuck was sharing dimensions. So this is one of the, and you'll see these. If you look up the folded skeleton sleeve, you'll see charts like this. So I went right with the directions. I cut to the 7.4 feet and followed everything along, and it worked out well. Now again, I'm using the 6 and 2 in the CW SSB portion, so it was lower, but you can see that there, and 6 is a big band, so you're not going to get with something, a band like that, you're going to have to choose, kind of where you want to be, if you want to be up high for FM but I mean, with this is horizontal. You're not going to want to use, there's better options for if you want to do FM work on 2 or 6, but yeah, and you can see like a whole list of combinations, and how many feet you need. But I know I mentioned that 10 and 6, that's only 14.5 feet. So, I mean, for, a tech, you're $15 in ladder line, and you can get yourself something for 10 and 6 that you can put up and work. But there's lots of other combinations, so you can see what I was talking about. It's pretty nice. And
10 and 6 are good bands for techs. because you can make pretty cheap antennas for both of those. Just dipoles, even just straight dipole.
Yeah, and the nice thing, like, I always say this, and you know it too, Chuck. When you're talking about VHF, UHF, and above, it's a lot easier to get gain and find gain in antennas because the elements are so much shorter.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a lot harder when you get up, 10 meters and above. But if you're playing around on 6 and 2, and I think, Chuck, you did, I think you did something for 900 megahertz, like a multi
Oh yeah.
Yagi and stuff like those.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
got one
and
I'm
I
sitting
played
here. They're
with one.
tiny.
Yeah, I played with one. I think it was like 14 elements or so ish for 900 megahertz, and I mean it was stupid light and easy to carry up the hike and everything, and it's a nice benefit when you get onto the high bands. You can find that gain pretty easy.
Yeah, there's a little 3-element one. That was the first one I built. So, yeah, that's what's cool about the higher bands is, I mean, and what five elements is only that much longer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's also one of the things that I think, even though there are antennas that are much larger that you can get to work on those bands, by the time you do, you've just got so much wire in the air that it's not really designed to be particularly effective at that scale. So I've started to become more a fan of having like something that's 40-ish in length and then something else that's 6 and 10, because I'm not really that happy with what I get on 6 or 10 out of the 40 foot, even though it tunes, but like, is it a good antenna?
Yeah.
No.
Six is another one that's not too. I mean, I built a 5-element LFA, and it's 16 feet long, I think, for 5 elements. And LFA is a little bit longer because it looks like a Moxon where the driven unit is. They're supposedly quieter because that part's closed. But yeah, try making, 2-element Yagis or 2-meter Yagis and stuff like that, or 70 centimeter. They're fun to play with because you don't have to have much materials. That little Yagi for 900 is just pieces of wire that I straightened out. It was actually magnet wire. There it is.
I was gonna try to be cheeky and I knew you guys were busy building your antennas, so I thought I was gonna build my antenna here. So this is my
water cooled antenna.
There's my water cooled antenna, and there's the business, boys, right there. So this baby's rated to 10K. I transmitted into it at full beans for 30 minutes, and it didn't even warm up the water. No salt. Mine did not need salt. My tap water on 20 meters, right
Salty
about this.
enough.
No, I don't know what it is, but my spacing and my element length and everything was just great. I was getting about a 1.5 to 1 match on 20 meters with my tap water right at about this level right here. And I thought that was great for me for a dummy load. So I set it out in the backfield up on top of a ladder and ran Whisper on it, and I was really hoping that I would get anything. No, nothing, not getting out on Whisper. Not happening.
Now, is that picture UV protected or not?
For $7, I don't know. I doubt it. What? Oh, this is back up. Did you want to talk about this again?
No, I
Oh,
don't know why. Sorry about that.
Whoa.
I'm really curious if there's something there that I'm missing on those charts. And I pulled it up, but I'm really intrigued to know a little more. Is the idea that the B length is coupling with the dipole?
Yeah, it's a parasitic element. So yep. I just took the chart. I just removed it, so put it back up. But yeah. The higher band, the smaller element is not going to be electrically connected at all. There's gaps on both sides that are wide enough to keep it isolated enough, but at the same point allow it to be fed through induction and whatnot, so that it'll still get out.
Right on, fellas.
I love it when antennas have pieces not electrically connected
Yeah.
that are somehow really
Yeah,
important.
it's-
It's like you find a circuit board with something that says, whatever you do, don't delete this. By the way, it's not connected to the entire rest of the circuit board, but
Yeah.
it's really important it's on there.
Yeah, no, it's a neat antenna, and like I said earlier, I don't remember exactly how I first heard of it, but when I did and I mentioned to others, most people I've mentioned it to have never heard of it. And it's been published in a couple ARRL books, but and there's some articles online on it, but no, if for something cheap, something where you can get a couple bands without a tuner, and the fact that you can do any combination pretty much of bands that you want, it's a neat little option. It's something different.
I was really blown away. And that one picture, did you post that one picture where the sky's real gray behind your antenna?
Yeah,
You did?
yeah.
I got to go back and save that. That's a beautiful picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised that came out because I mean the net doesn't start till 9 o'clock at night, so that was 9:30 at night when I took the photo when I first got it set up and stuff. But yeah, no, it came out good. It looked neat.
I gotcha. Andy, is there anything that you want to add?
Gosh, I'm thinking about building a cubicle quad now, and then that skeleton deal that looks pretty cool too. Other than that, yeah, I got the Yagi up on a house that I built earlier in the year, but I think I want to do a cubicle quad now, definitely. But other than that, no, I had fun building the half square. It was fun to put ladder line on it and see what happened. I was surprised at how well 15 came in, but it was a lot of wire in the air.
So you did a half square? Those
Yeah.
work really well. I've only seen one person that didn't think they worked, and he obviously did something wrong because I did one for 40, and for some reason I was hearing people in South America with my doublet, and the half square was 3 to 4 S units better, which it should have been because it's more of a vertical, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a vertical. So, but to San Diego, it was about the same the other way. My doublet was way better for shorter distance. So those things, they're pretty amazing. I mean, somebody asked me why I wasn't doing that for my phase stuff, and I was like, because I want to do a phase thing.
Yeah.
Something different.
I definitely, it opened my eyes a little bit on it, because I'd seen your videos on it and read a little bit about them, and but getting it up there and then feeding it with ladder line was the thing that I wanted to do just to see.
Yeah, anytime. Well, that will change some stuff though. Sometimes on your tune and stuff.
It did.
I tried that. I tried ladder line with a Moxon one time, and it was like I didn't have time to screw with it because it wasn't right. But I think it can improve stuff a little bit though because it's a little more efficient.
Yeah, I had it cut for 10, and then 15 and 12 came in really good. So it was fun though.
Shoot, I had a little short piece of coax here. Damn it. I started at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and it's 3:40 here now. I had to cut. Well, basically all I had to cut was I had to strip a board for the. I'll do a video on this whole thing, but I had to strip the board for the. It's made out of poplar. Poplars are pretty good. Keep it, stay straight type. Usually, if it's straight, it'll stay that way. I wanted to finish it and everything, and then I was chatting with Ziggy today, and he's like, "Oh, you're doing the video for the antenna build." I'm like, "No."
Yes. No.
That was today. I thought it was 1:15.
Yeah, I don't know how I messed that up. I think it was. I've got this. I'm a mechanic, so I get oils and stuff on my screen protector, and it just I don't use the glass ones because they don't last. So I have to get the really thick gel, the gel ones. and then the oils make it anyway. I make a lot of typing errors because of that, and I think that's what happened. So I apologize for that. But it's my first one.
I'm not saying it was. It's just what I read.
Yeah, I think it was January at first, but it was not supposed to be. But that's okay. Hopefully we can have another one in January. That's my plan. Because this was fun. I had a blast just knowing that you guys were out there and totally able to carve out time from your busy schedules to cobble together some junk.
Some junk.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
time. I do have to hit it though, so I again appreciate it, Paul, Mike.
Yeah, you too.
Chuck, take care. And,
Andy's got some important 3D stuff to work on here.
I do, yeah. I got a 17-hour one coming up and a 22-hour one coming up. I got to be done by Wednesday.
I want to do it. I started this one, Andy, like this. I took this some guy designed this. This is for a tablet for a motorcycle, and he did little clamps on the back, and I wanted to use the ball thing, so I remixed his. And my printer's it's like a 17-hour print. I didn't feel like doing that, so I tried the fast speed. So then I did a couple of these small things. These are amp. I don't know if you guys can see the holes, but there's holes in there. That's for what they call amp. That's for like GPS mounts and stuff. The spacing. So I did a couple of those, and then I want to do it in PETG at least, right? So I did a small one of these in PETG, and I go, oh, that worked pretty good. Well, as soon as I tried to do it this size, it didn't like that. And my printer's really slow, so
I've got some PCTG that I want to use. I haven't used it yet though, but
polycarbonate.
It's supposed to be better than it's in the family of PETG, but it's supposed to be less stringy and stronger and resistant. So.
Well, I want this for strong too because it's for to go on a motorcycle, and it's one that'll go off road. And I don't want the thing breaking going down. I mean, I'm not super impressed sometimes with the printing strength. I just say.
Yeah.
So I was doing 100% on this one, and actually it was faster at 100%, which just doesn't make sense. But I guess it doesn't have to go back and forth. You're putting more out, and it seemed a little bendable, real flexible. I just finally, it wasn't coming out right, so I quit. I should have let it go, but I had that one. I went from like 17 hours to 6 hours on the settings, but just my printer. I'm sure somebody that knows more about printers could probably make it work, but I was trying to just get it done quick.
Paul, Mike, you guys got anything else to add in there?
No, thanks for doing it. It was kind of. I said I was sitting on this ladder line, and I had the idea kicking around for like a year for this antenna, and it was like a nice little kick in the butt. And I think I wasn't the only one that thought we had till January. So I'm like, I'll get around to doing this when I'm off around the holidays, and then
I had all the printed parts done weeks ago, like the day after.
Oh shoot, my schedule's crazy this time of year with my son in basketball, and so he had practices and we had games today and everything. And I'm like, about the only time I had was Monday. I'm like, geez, if I can bang this out in like an hour so I can actually check into the net and everything. And so I scrambled and got it done just in time, and it's cool. And I'm glad. So thank you for doing it. Sometimes we need a little kick like this.
I think it was that evening or the following day, Chuck messages me and he says, well, all my parts are printed. So
well, it's actually good for me because it was a project that I wanted to revisit because I wasn't happy with my first one. I didn't like that the things wanted to spin, and they just on those little small 1/4 inch, not much to really bite into to keep them from moving. And like I said, if you get one tight, the next one won't be. So they're not very consistent.
Paul, you got anything to add there for us?
Yeah, I think I'd point out that one of the things that's really cool about this as a format is that I feel like there's a lot of activation energy required to go build an antenna you haven't built before, because it just feels like, well, I have to do this right, and I have to do that right, and I have to do this right. And then somebody says, oh, by the way, you have $20 and the deadline is whoopsie tomorrow, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, what if I just don't do all of those things I'm supposed to do? And then as it turns out, I don't know who said it, but somebody at some point said something like, the universe is constantly trying to create antennas. Like you make something and it probably will radiate. And so it means that like the odds are you were way overthinking it and you can just do something that's actually a lot sort of more simple with the wrong materials. And I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be an optimized antenna, but hey, you get something out of it that's pretty neat. So yeah, I think that's a cool part of doing it like this, is that it's not just a okay, dump more time and energy and money into making the most absurdly optimized thing.
I'm actually really considering on leaving this 8040 fan dipole permanently installed. I was really impressed by its performance and the fact that that I know that 99% of my energy is probably getting out. I'm not going through a balun or any kind of transformer. I was pretty impressed with it, which basically just tells me that I get to run more trunk lines out of 75 ohms. So I'm up to 7 antennas out here. I might have to cut the hole in the. Yeah, I'm catching up to Chuck. I might have to cut the hole in the wall a little bigger. It's getting a little tight already. So
that's probably something I'm going to do, is make a little bigger entryway, because like I have one of mine that I have a test coax and it goes through the window, which is not the best.
I've got a 4-inch hole that I blasted through my house while she was at work one day. Had to do it. So
all right,
I wanna thank you guys for joining me tonight on this stream.
Thanks, Ziggy.
And we're gonna do it again, hopefully, sometime real soon. I was pretty impressed with everybody's performance and timing, and I wanna thank everybody for being here this evening. Thanks for being on my stream, guys.
Thanks, Ziggy.
Thanks for doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Right on.
Take care, everybody.
If anybody's got anything to add, say it now.
I'm good.
I'll see you guys. Take care. Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right.